Next data annotation that I want to talk about is a required and primary key. We have already seen how to use the key data annotation, but we have not seen the required right now. When by default the project was created, nullable was true. Because of that, all the string properties are required by default. And if you want to override that, then you had to use the question mark to define that was a nullable. But typically when you are working with older applications or even in the new application, you can navigate to the edit project file and you can either disable the nullable or remove that completely from the project file. If that is not present there, then all the string properties by default will be nullable. If you want to explicitly set that, hey, genre name is required, we have the required data annotation. Next thing, where we have the genre ID, if the key data annotation is not present, and if I add an underscore before the ID, and if I try to add a migration, this will fail. Let me add a new migration here and show you that error message. You can see genre requires a primary key to be defined. In order to explicitly define, we will have to use the key data annotation. With that, if we try to add migration, and then we can name our primary key anything we want. But with that, if we try to add the migration, it will work successfully. If we take a look here, it is renaming the column here, altering the column. Nullable is set to false for the name column. Perfect, looks good. Now let's say I don't want to apply this migration right now. I also want to rename this genre table to category. I can rename the table categories here, but let me change the class name here to category, and this will be category ID. We will remove the underscore here, and let me change the column name to be category name, but when we are renaming, we are using name here. That looks good. I can remove the display order for now to keep things simple. I have a spelling mistake there. Perfect. It looks good. Let me rename the class here to be category. If we go to application DB context, we will have to rename that as well. Category, categories, and perfect. We can use the same table name that we have in the DB set if we want to be explicit, but that should rename everything that we have. With this configured, let me add migration. Rename genre to category. And perfect, let me update the database. Before I do that, let me skim through, dropping the table, and we are creating the category table. Looks good. If you notice this time, it is applying to migration, because the last migration where we were changing the primary key and required in genre, it was not applied. So it first applied that, and after that it also applied rename genre to category. If I go back here and we refresh the tables, perfect, we have the categories table.